Cemetery board.
Okay.
Now, is it one cemetery board or is there one for each cemetery? As if there
One
is.
cemetery.
It's one cemetery board
Right.
for here, for Muscle
Muscle Shell.
The four here, but
Yeah.
Muscle Shell's got their.
Muscle Shell
own.
has their own cemetery board,
So does Millstone.
and Millstone too.
Yeah,
Do we have a list of those board members, or?
Yes.
Well,
I'm
that's-
not sure
I'm
who's on
wondering
the
if maybe we
Millstone one.
might wanna,
Used to
I
be
don't know
where
how
the
to get
stands
this
back.
on a docket that gets driven to the resolution. In other words, say, well, I don't wanna say, well, go talk to the cemeteries.
Call
That-
them
that
in
obviously-
here.
That's what I'm talking
You're
about,
their bosses.
yeah.
How often do they meet?
I don't know when they meet.
Well, I wonder if we had that list, we could call them in and say, we could maybe even set up a
Yeah.
meeting to say, and it could be a public meeting, if you guys wanted to be
I-
here, you know,
I would think that you'd want just the people that are here right now.
Yeah.
And the board members.
well, we maybe,
So-
because I want them, this is really good information, this is excellent
Well,
work.
anybody who died here over the last 25 years is
Yeah.
probably not on any list, civilian or otherwise,
She
okay?
did an amazing job on these things.
Yeah, and so I
No,
want
they
you to
haven't
know that,
updated
we
the list,
appreciate
and-
that.
But I just, what I'm trying to avoid, me personally as a commander and a veterans representative, just don't need to be out to Joe Schmo anywhere. If we can handle it in-house,
Those
handle it
meetings I had
in-house.
Yeah. And I agree, but
Don't
there
want
is
it to
a
get
process.
ugly.
You know, it's always good to start with who's responsible for doing this work.
That's why we're here.
And I think it's the board, and then we can ask them.
That's where we'll start.
Yeah.
All
Muscle
three
Shell
boards.
Cemeteries, Chris Kirk and Tanner
So
Sherwood.
there's Roundup, Muscle Shell, and
Right.
Millstone.
Reports to state for both cemeteries, Muscle Shell is going to update their cemetery report. And Roundup Cemetery under county jurisdiction.
You get the idea?
These guys. And Millstone, I was up there yesterday, and we know where everybody is buried. That, well, you wanna talk about a perfect example of how to keep records, jeez
Yeah, it is.
Louise. I mean, Joe Schmo from Kokomo is buried in lot A and number L32.
Yeah.
And you can see the letters, they actually mark.
Well, there's also an issue of not only the records being right, but the issue of maintenance. Maintaining the,
It's the only place.
Oh,
like
people-
this picture here.
The people in Millstone, there's three different people, well, that, I actually helped rebuild that, so I know how that works. There's three different people and three different families that cut the grass, they weed whack, and I think it's Jerry Lee, what's Jerry Lee's name?
McCleary.
She's
Clear.
there.
That's doing it now.
I think a lot of that's voluntary.
Yeah, it is, we all volunteered to do it because we know everybody that's in that cemetery. So, it's not like the vets, those of us that are retired, wouldn't go up to a cemetery and weed whack. Nobody's ever asked us to. But it's not like we wouldn't do the records that Mary's, God, I gotta tell you, man, she did a hell of a job on this. We just need to know how they're laid out, the way they're numbered, alphabetized, I don't know. You know, I go into a national cemetery to see my grandfather. On Tuesday, I'll be gone to Long Island, New York. And if you ever been to Calverton National Cemetery, you look at me and say, how in the hell are you gonna find it? I said, well, it says right here, he's here.
Yeah.
That means you pull in on that left entranceway, he should be right there under that tree right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Arthur did, you know, you have.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we've kind of covered this in its detail. We're gonna get a hold of the boards and we're gonna work through with the boards to make sure. And if we have a way of getting a hold, maybe we'll give this to
They
Cheryl.
know how to get a hold of me.
I got Mary's phone
Let's
number
get this
too.
to
That's
Cheryl.
on my files.
Okay,
As of yesterday, I made a few updates on Oddfellows, but that's civilian and military list for all four with
Okay.
updates. But grain of salt on the updates, right?
But really, yeah, but it's, okay, and so
Doing
we'll
anything
get
is
through, we'll work
helpful.
it through the boards to get this resolved.
Yeah, I just tried to pick
I'd
these
like
out
to
so
be
you
able
can
to
see,
meet with them,
Yeah.
if it's
and
okay.
what you
If
saw
not,
in those
that's fine.
pages is throughout the list.
I'm not familiar
Yeah,
with
but-
the extent of the project, problem like you two. So, their board's hearing this from you guys, I think is important. So, but you're right, it might be it might be an
The
awful.
problem I see is all these people are buried on Highway 84. So.
You know, that jumped out right at me,
What
Mike.
if that is correct?
I'm like, wait a minute, there's no 84.
I'm gonna give this to Cheryl, okay?
Yeah, she's trustworthy.
Well, let's just,
Thanks guys for your time
Yeah.
and the grounds
Well, thanks for
really
doing
do
that
look
for
a
us,
lot
yeah.
better this year and the gopher problem is way, way down. And that was, oh, yeah, you know, the old Turner property. The big problem though, and you'll see it especially at the older cemeteries, they burrow underneath the headstones right in the middle. Snow falls and it's cracking all those old stones in half.
Mm.
There's a lot of them out there that you'll see that they've had to epoxy them back together, and it's because of the gophers. So,
I got a lot of them this year.
yeah,
Well, they asked me, you trapped them? I said, yeah, can you get a gopher? Yeah, that's easy. And I did, I got a lot of
I
them.
didn't
Did
see
you?
any at New Miners when we went there, but, City Cemetery, the old section, there was a few that came out to say hi when I drove through there yesterday.
okay.
I wonder if those are the prairie dogs. God.
And they're carryover
Yeah,
from the
they're
Turner
prairie
property.
dogs. Well, from,
Got a lot of them
well,
too.
from Pat
Did
Kramer's.
last year,
Yeah.
I did, in the city center.
Thanks,
They take
guys.
root.
All right.
You
Thanks,
know, I
Mary.
don't want it to be adversarial, it's not.
No,
but-
it's not, we don't
We
see
can
it.
tell
When
you're
I had-
passionate about it, that's great.
Well, it's just that I'm out there with a weed whacker cleaning around family graves, and there's 19 of them here. So, and I go and clean them up, set the flowers up. And it never fails. At least 3 cars will stop while I'm there and say, can you help me find a grave?
Yeah.
Something you guys can understand. Yes, last night I was looking for Milton Cordingley's. Milton does not have a headstone. And I'm like, what the heck? He was a vet. So I got online and I sent Sandra an email to say, you know what, you just need to contact VA or your
Mhm.
local vets, and he can have a free headstone out there.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah,
If there is an
So-
identifiable veteran without a vet marker,
Mhm.
you need to tell me, find out who the family is and who I contact, because they should have his discharge paperwork. And I can get a grave marker and a flag issued to the family.
Yeah.
Do you need their paperwork, or can you come get that form?
No, I need the, well, see, the family's the only one that has access to those DD 214s or
Okay.
the vet that's alive.
Cause I'm seeing a potential hang up there, is what I'm saying.
no,
There is,
They're normally.
it's not too bad. I got one from my great uncle Merle Myers, Dot Myers' husband.
yeah, but everybody
He was
knows
my-
you.
It wasn't just that, you know, we drove out there and this was passionate for my dad. And every year I'd put out 28 flags out here just at city. We're driving around and Dad's, give him one, give him one, give him one. And then we saw him, we called him Uncle Merle, great uncle. But we saw Merle's grave and he says, why doesn't Merle have a headstone? I said, well, I'm sure Doc couldn't afford it. And he says, well, we can get him a free one. He says, go fill out the paperwork online, let's get that rolling. And Merle has a free headstone.
It's not hard to get them.
No, they're easy.
If, somebody in the family gives me permission to
Yeah.
look at it, then I can come right to the county, get a copy. I go to the post office, fill out a form, and I get the flag right then and there, that's number one. But the grave marker takes 90 days max to get.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going anywhere.
I didn't think so, but it's the family that's gonna be calling me, hey, have
Yeah.
you seen it? So I tell them it takes 90 days.
Sure, if
It
it
usually takes a lot
But
less
as you
than
can
that.
see,
Long
for
term
vets, this is a passionate deal
Mhm.
that they get a flag. And my dad, we drive through there and he goes, Catherine Perella didn't get one again. And he said, she had a rotten job, give her one. Herschel Robbins, I didn't know, he was Pearl Harbor survivor.
Yeah.
So I give Herschel and Wink a flag every year. You know, and to me, they're just childhood memories. We grew up here and I realized it came from 4th of July parade finally. That's where I was pulling names out. You know,
Mhm.
their bucket hats on, 4th of
Yep.
July parade. Harry Kowalczyk, John Riggett, Glenn Kenda, all those boys, Jack O'Brien. but they deserve a flag, but they've all, Bob Jorgensen, John Ady, they all died within the last 25 years, so they weren't on their list.
Hmm.
They get to put out, they get to put out more than 100 flags this year, just because I know those people died, okay?
Well,
All right, well, okay, is there any other public comment on any public matter within this jurisdiction that is not on the agenda? Going 3 times, is there any other public comment on any public matter within the jurisdiction of the commission is not on the agenda? Hearing none, public comment is closed. Really appreciate the work you've done, both of you, for what you did.
We'll go after it.
Thank you.
I trust you guys, I wouldn't be
It's
here if I didn't.
frustrating not being able to.
Well, Betty Goffney's not on the list either, Betty, Danny. And that's horrible that they didn't matter.
I told Frank that my father's is buried in Billings, but there's nothing on his gravestone that says he's a veteran.
You can go to
His records.
the VA,
Same with Uncle Wesley, he's
Yeah.
not
Give
here,
me,
but
give
city.
me
He
his
is.
records.
but if you go to the VA website, you can order a free medallion, which I have on my dad's grave, and my grandpa's and uncles, we've ordered
Okay.
those, they're free. They'll send it to you with the epoxies, and they're a lovely
They were
medallion.
both World War II,
We,
so.
we'll get, well, she gets the medallions, I get their actual marker.
Yeah,
Okay.
The big bronze marker. And if he's buried with his wife, or the vet is a female and she's buried with her
Yeah.
husband, their name can be added to it if that's what the family wants.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all I need is a copy of the DD 214 to attach to the form. And because of who we know in the Legion, and they'll actually be here in a few weeks. So if you have the paperwork, I could just hand it to them
Yeah.
and it'll be done lickety split.
So I'm gonna shift gears a little. How do we move forward on your issue with the property?
I guess it falls under you guys, I'll go out and I'll look at it.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and say yay or nay.
Okay,
And then we'll,
and how much you need of that, you know, obviously, we don't wanna give all 68.
No, God, no,
Okay, just,
I was floored when we brought up the 13.
you have to take the parade off.
what's that?
That's easy.
did you want the
I
attachment?
don't poison them though.
What we
You
got?
can have my copy.
Musco County,
Hi, Mike, it's Allison Martin with Buffalo Water Conservation.
Thank you. Mhm.
yeah, you do realize you're in a public meeting right now. Did you wanna talk in a public meeting, or did you got, it's up to you.
You just reminded us of the meeting coming up?
No, yeah, sorry about that, I was just, if you wanna give me a call back too, that's fine, I was just wondering if you're gonna be able to make it on, Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm planning on it.
Okay, great, thank you so much, we'll see you on Tuesday.
All right. You bring the donuts.
Thank you.
I'll try, thanks, Mike.
All right,
Take care.
thanks a lot.
I'll go look at it right after I leave here.
Okay.
I have the authority to say yay or nay on whether or not we'll accept
But
it.
you guys got funds and everything to develop it? to-
We're already building the funds, that's what this is
Yeah.
about.
Okay.
I'm trying to get things in place so that when we're ready to build, we're ready to build.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll look at it and we'll start the process.
Okay,
It's contaminated though, it's got hydrocarbon contaminated.
I can handle that, as long as you don't bury my ex-wife there, I'll be doing all right. I'm kidding.
I am joking too, I don't want that to get.
All right. What else did you need from me?
No, thank you both.
We're good. You draw out a call to our
And
attention.
it's totally appropriate on this weekend too, it's just, you know.
Nicole
I
says
didn't
hi.
realize it
Mary's
was
the one
this
who
bad.
brought it up, I got a phone call from Mary and I'm like, who is this?
That was my dad, 3 in the morning, waking me up. Hey, pay attention, Memorial Day comes early this year. And I woke up and I was like, oh geez, it does. I better get my stuff done so I can get back here and do graves. And then I'm thinking, you know, people like Herschel, Catherine Perella, all these people buried out there that don't make the list.
Yeah.
25 years worth, guys, come on. And it's not just the military, I mean, that's really important too. But it's every civilian,
Every- yeah.
both of the Bettys.
Every grave.
I've added them to list, and I'm going, is this Bill's Betty? I'm not sure, you know, because of the years, but I've added them. But I don't know where their plots are, and that's just not right when your You know, people drive from Glendive or wherever to set flowers out, and they
Right.
get out here, and their family members aren't even on the list. You know how
Yeah,
hurtful
I-
that is?
I can,
And if you don't, call Susan Hanley Goffney, and she can tell you how much it hurts that Danny doesn't make the cut.
Oh, yeah,
Danny.
her son Dan,
Oh, my
Frank's
God.
boy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's not on the list. He doesn't make it.
Really?
Oh,
He doesn't
but it's
matter.
still pot of shit.
Anybody over 25
no,
years,
no,
pretty
you know,
much.
we had, Ben kinda got on our case about our oversight of our boards, you know, about,
Yeah.
so this is one of those issues that we need to touch bases with the boards and say, what are you doing, what do you need to do? You know, this
We
is totally appropriate.
immediately ignored it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so we can blame, it's
So
all
I got
about blaming.
voluntold
We're
by
looking for
Mary I
someone
need to get
blame.
on this, so
Yes.
I did, and I'll do it.
I mean, but for these boards, I mean, a good way to kind of start stimulating action is say, you know, hey, would you guys come in and give us a report about what you guys are up to?
You bet, you bet.
Monthly report.
Okay.
Don't let Dick Mahalovich
Yeah,
quit.
monthly reports even.
He's really, don't let Dick
Every
Mahalovich quit. He is really discouraged after
What was that?
trying to help. And he knows how bad the boards at the
Yeah,
cemeteries look.
He's a good guy. No,
He's
maybe-
excellent, and he's a right man for that job.
Okay. Well, this isn't about firing anybody.
No.
No, I'm not
This is
firing.
about kind of resurrect, say, hey, guys, we need to get back and focus on this. And who are we gonna, what committee are you gonna put together to fix all this?
Yeah, I'm just warning you, he wants to quit after he couldn't get any support, and he knows this is a problem.
We'll
Good.
talk to him.
Yeah, don't let him quit. He's a right guy for that kind of thing.
Can you give us a contact number for him and we'll?
I will.
Yeah.
And if you need somebody else.
He's out of
just
town
let
right
me
now.
know. You know damn good and well, I'll do whatever you need to do.
Yep.
Sorry, but,
You know, I love it when I give these guys advice and I turn
sorry,
it out.
you know, but
Well, we're not saying you're right.
I'm glad you're right.
You're not necessarily
Because,
right.
yeah,
We're more right than
Those
him.
three cemeteries.
Is that what it is?
Time, they kinda got full. And then nobody, it just kinda fell
I
by
gotta
the
sit
wayside,
and
and that's
drink
what's
beer
happening.
now.
what's with the fence on
So
the
be
East End City Cemetery? It's
That's all
gone.
right, y'all can't hurt my
The
feelings.
feedlot side,
Yeah. I
That
was
fence is
wondering that
down.
Too, I don't know what the hell happened there.
I'm going up
All right,
to get
thank
your
you.
property.
All right.
Thanks, guys,
Bye-bye.
I'll let
ladies,
you get you to your stuff.
Good to see you.
be nice, they're okay guys.
See ya.
I will.
Well, just get on
And I know you don't
pen
wanna
pads.
see me next year, so.
Nice to meet you.
We're behind on public business, so.
By golly, we
Come on, Vicky, you can come in.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing, I'm here to talk to
We do have some business here that we have to take.
All right, let's go.
I make a motion to discuss and vote on the purchase of the 2 vacant lots north of the Weir building owned by the Mannisters.
And I will second that, I've talked to, been part of that discussion, and I think it's worthy to.
I think so too. I think we should just go ahead and purchase them.
Yeah, we had that discussion, Ben, with the risk of not knowing, so we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
I,
Motion carried.
well, I move that we review and sign the encroachment permit for an approach on Dean Creek Road, section 20, township 6 north, range 24, submitted by Connie Jo Rickmeyer.
I'll second that.
All right, and my only discussion is we know that these things have been reviewed by
They have to be.
WWC and they're recommending.
And Tom
And Tom.
Tom
Stocker,
Stocker.
the road supervisor, he's.
Okay,
He looks at all.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I'll make the motion to review and sign the management representative letter to Denny Downey and Associates, PC.
And I will second that one as well.
All right, any discussion? I might give you a little discussion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe we should discuss that.
So I talked with Darcy and then we talked with, I talked with Nancy Everson. We had 2 findings in this audit report. One was that we had 3 accounts that we approved budget appropriations that were not advertised. And we looked into those 3 accounts, one of them was the Goffney Bridge. All of them were fully funded, but apparently they got put in the budget after the official budget was sent to the state. Our corrective action to that is, we understand that, okay, we were in error. it was an oversight, and we will do whatever, we will make sure that doesn't happen in the
Yeah,
future.
we say 10 Hail Marys.
Yeah. And then we will, there's a caning, there'll be a caning,
As always.
a public caning.
Yeah.
And then,
It's
Put
gonna
up
be
your knuckles,
expensive.
I'll wrap your knuckles with a ruler.
and then the other finding had to do with being no MDA done. And that, you guys know, we were told we didn't need to do that if we were doing an audit report in lieu of an audit,
Mhm.
and we were wrong on that.
Really?
And that's okay, although we needed the
bad
report
advice.
that Denning sent for us to sign in order to do the MDNA.
Okay.
So we will make sure that next year we don't have that issue.
You know what's good about that situation is the fact that you were able to follow what happened.
Yes,
You were able to.
yeah,
follow.
Darcy
If it
went
would've
right
been-
to it, you
If it had
know,
been 6 years ago, you would not have been able to follow.
or even understand what the heck's he talking about, you know, but, no, Darcy went right to it, and that's what happened, and I happen to know the Goffney Bridge one. I don't know when it occurred, but I know why it occurred, but we opened a separate funding code for it because we had the funds that were granted for us.
Right.
So it's not like we approved anything that wasn't approved or funded. So that's it. So now with that said, we have a motion, okay, so we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None? I mean, you guys satisfied with that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And also with that, Nancy Everson just recommended we just sign the thing and move on.
Yeah.
Yep.
She said neither one of those findings are gonna be showstoppers with the state.
So with that, I move that we review and sign the Muscle Shell County acceptance of the draft audit report for fiscal year 2024.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Good work, guys. Right here. Good meeting, right?
That was part of it, but I don't know if that just.
And we're gonna say,
Good morning, Mr. Cooper.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I guess. It's not raining, but it could be better.
We could use more. We had a little shower last night.
Yeah, I got some that was like 3 in the morning, we just took one.
Yeah. Didn't add up to much, but it came down.
yes.
It wasn't a ton.
This one here.
This is the
I
last one,
initial
review,
this.
acceptance, yes, I guess, I
And
don't know,
then,
right there.
Did you guys end up going to that roundup reach?
okay, what else? And then I need to sign that resolution. What was that? That one that's on our letterhead.
The meeting?
That-
Tuesday?
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
This
Allison
is our
just called her
this
to
is
make
our
sure I
correct
knew
one.
about it.
yeah, yes,
Oh,
that's where it was.
Well, did you go to the previous one?
Very good.
I didn't know.
Excellent. Well, what about this survey I need to sign?
You signed it, the encroachment permit, this guy.
I told her I'd be there.
Here's Allison.
This
Allison Martin, I think.
encroachment, there's no survey.
Very good, thank you.
She's on
Put
the
this in here, dated good.
watershed.
Thursday.
Too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they decide on a company?
Not that I know of. That'll come out at the meeting.
And thank you.
It was Great West Engineering and WWC Engineering, right?
What's that for?
Around the breach, the feasibility study on the,
It's gonna be done by Great West.
they decided on Great
Yeah.
West.
That's the feasibility, yeah. And the reason, they were both excellent, but Great West was about $30,000 lower,
Mm.
both for the same scope. And Great West is involved in those studies with our mitigation for floodplain mitigation.
Yeah.
Right.
So we thought they were a better fit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious if that had been decided.
And I got the county agent at 3:30.
The only thing, you know, you're talking about this watershed thing. The one thing that perked me up, remember a while back, you talked about them talking about diverting water for storage for drought into a.
Yeah, no, Melstone.
There's probably money to do that.
There probably is.
So however we can help that, you just let me know.
I thought it made perfect sense. so-
Cause see, and it ties in with all this mitigation money for floodplain mitigation. Drought is also a multi-hazard.
Of course it is.
So that would be a mitigation for which they're probably grant money to help them do that. I realized they had to do something,
Well,
right?
that meeting was a month ago, but that's the first time I heard about that plan, and I thought it was an excellent
Yeah.
plan. Because what happens is they order water from Dead Man's Basin, it takes 5 days to get down to the Millstone. In the meantime, it rains 2 inches, so they don't need the water, so it just goes on by. So they wanna be able to divert that water into a storage. Save it. That makes sense.
You should just get them to build a,
I don't know how often they order water and it rains. If it does, I think they should order water more often.
I don't know, they're probably losing a quarter of their water coming down that river, I bet, total, wouldn't you think, out of
The
it?
ditch leaks.
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah. But that's what feeds the aquifer.
yeah, I mean, they gotta be losing 25% of their water, maybe like 30%.
Yeah.
Well, it just jumped out at me as we're getting mitigation money through Justin's group and drought, for our multi-hazard mitigation plan. And that would be a good mitigation that I think there's money out there. Whatever they need to do, you know, to address, didn't they need to do something to the basin or the dam or whatever?
Well, they're always doing something up there.
There are several projects that they have, discussed in the past that are still out there. They could fit under that program you were just talking about. I was talking to Greg Cedar about it earlier.
Okay.
And so I was hoping that, I says, Greg, let's get together and talk about
Yeah.
the project. It has already been engineered, maybe we can find the money to resurrect it.
Yeah, didn't the
Because they
BLM
said, hey,
present
which is
something?
too much.
The BLM presented something about this being out there.
Yeah.
Well,
Greg Cedar brought it up at that meeting.
I don't know, like, besides the water loss problems, I mean, from a biosecurity standpoint, the whole irrigation system on this whole valley is, you're never gonna fix your weed problems when you're running water down the river to your fields. I mean, there's one weed plant, or one, you know, thistle plant or anything upriver, and you're gonna spread the seeds across the entire.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with flood irrigation, maybe with the filters you get through a pivot, it's a little different, but, I mean.
Yeah,
you're
but
talking
we're just talking about
biosecurity,
having water in
Yeah,
drought.
yeah. Weeds are just a necessary evil.
Well, weeds might reduce the amount of water.
Give me your
consumption.
prompt. This is what you think about that.
Yeah, I get that, but I think, I don't know, I'm gonna find somebody who will put $50 million into an irrigation project, because it would fix, you're talking about a drought. Like, you go talk to the guys down around Milestone, they don't get the water, supposedly, they're not getting the water that they have the rights for anyway, a lot of the time, or paying for
They're
it.
getting more than they used to.
Well, yeah,
And the
But-
time when they dried up every year.
well, right, but still, it's like, I don't know, you could build a big, you know, reservoir or something over there, but it just doesn't seem,
So how would you fix that irrigation problem?
Line the ditch.
line the ditch, pipe it,
Like
Might be money for that.
like that, they do in a lot of places, they pipe it, or they have concrete ditches,
Mm-hmm.
which pipe would be better, but I mean, locally, you
Might
still
be
have to
better,
have,
cause then you don't have evaporation.
right, and like an overall, like a big pipe, obviously, like 5 foot, 4 foot, probably 4 foot for around there, it's not as much water. And then like locally, sure, you'd still have your ditches coming off it.
Yeah.
How many miles of pipe do you think you'd be dealing with?
You do the Muscle Valley, I mean, from Dead Man's on.
Yeah.
Well, that's huge.
It'd be a project.
That's where you gotta come up with $50 million.
Yeah,
Easily.
One of the issues though about piping in this valley is that there'd be silt. They would fill with silt,
yeah,
because they're constantly having to.
yeah, you'd probably have to, you'd have to come up with a good system coming out of Dead Man's to separate the silt out, but you could do that.
Well, the silt's in the river.
It needs to be engineered right.
Yeah.
Well, right, but if you're running off for your extra Dead Man's water, if you're running off a pipe instead, I don't know.
Interesting subject.
Well, it sounds like there's a need, but then it's feasibility.
Yeah, I
To
mean, I
do
don't
it
know if
right,
it's
it may
feasible,
not,
but
it may not.
if you
well,
combine the water savings, and just like I said, you're never gonna control weeds in this whole valley unless you change your irrigation system. I mean, there's not a hayfield in this valley, basically, even Roundup Ready alfalfa, that isn't pretty bad with weeds. I
I
mean,
got you.
you can spray them, but you can see where they've sprayed them, there's still weed, a seed bank in all those
Oh,
fields,
yeah.
that's just insane.